The proportion of dual-income households among married couples with children under 18 in Korea has surpassed 60% for the first time since related statistics began in 2015.
국내에서 18세 미만 자녀를 둔 부부 가운데 맞벌이 가구 비율이 관련 통계 집계를 시작한 2015년 이후 처음으로 60%를 넘어선 것으로 나타났습니다.
Yeah, so back in 2015, that number was below 50%. It was at 47.2%. But since then, what we've seen is an increased number of working mothers, and also, I guess, businesses are offering parental leave a little more liberally or allowing people to take it, and that's why we've seen that increase. But broadly speaking, just all double income or dual income households has reached an all-time high of more than 6.1 million, comprising 49% of all married couples in Korea. That's pretty amazing.
그래요. 그러니까 전체 이제 부부 중 맞벌이 비율이 48% 이상, 거의 49% 정도인데요. 작년에 비해서 소폭 증가한 겁니다. 0.6%포인트가 늘었고요. 그다음에 이제 미성년자, 18세 미만의 자녀가 있는 이렇게 맞벌이 부부 같은 경우에도 작년에는 58.5%였는데요. 이번에는 60.4%. 그래서 처음으로 60% 이상을 기록했습니다.
So more and more, it's basically saying that couples are looking for work and continuing to work even after childbirth, right?
Yeah. And also, I guess, a slight increase in people having babies as well over
Possibly,
the years.
yeah. So maybe some of the policies that the government is instilling, possibly working. Yeah.
Okay. You said dual income earlier on.
And I did also say double income, but there is a big difference, right? Because if something is dual, D-U-A-L, it means it has two parts, right? Two sides or two functions. Like it could be X and Y at the same time. Double means something literally would mean two times something,
Yes.
right?
그렇죠. 그래서 이중이라는 뜻의 dual이 들어간 단어 중에 이중 국적이 있을 수 있어요. dual nationality.
Or citizenship. Yep.
dual citizenship. 보통 그렇게 말하죠. 그런데 이제 double이라고 하면은 그냥 두 배라는 뜻이니까 의미가 좀 다르죠.
Yeah, but there's that term double income, no kids, DINK.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's just an acronym. But to be more accurate, it would be dual income, no kids, I think.
그럴 수 있죠. 네, 그렇습니다. 딩크 할 때 그 D는 더블이기는 한데 이제 엄밀히 따지자면은 더블은 두 배, 듀얼은 이중, 꼭 두 배는 아닐 수 있는 거죠. 그러니까 부부가 다 돈을 번다. 이중 국적자는 그러면 dual citizen인가요?
Yeah, dual citizen. Yep.
좋아요. 자, 그다음에 부부는 married couple?
Yeah, simply put, married couple. It's two people who are legally married to each other. As opposed to if you're dating someone, you can be a couple, but you're not a married couple.
상대방에 대해서는 this is my husband, this is my wife라고 하기도 하는데요. 배우자라는 단어 spouse를 써서 this is my spouse 해도 되고요.
Or partner.
네, 그렇죠. 그다음에 또 조금 더 예쁜 표현인데 this is my significant other.
My significant other,
이거
sure.
너무 예쁜 표현이에요.
It's very romantic.
그렇죠. 네네. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. The proportion of dual income households among married couples with children under 18 in Korea has surpassed 60% for the first time since related statistics began in 2015. Let's move on to the second headline.
France has issued its highest level red heat alert for over one-third of the country, affecting about 26 million people as temperatures soar up to 42 degrees Celsius.
프랑스에서 기온이 섭씨 42도까지 오르면서 전국 3분의 1 이상 행정구역에 최고 등급인 적색 폭염경보가 발령됐습니다. 이번 적색경보에 영향을 받는 인구는 2,600만 명에 달할 것으로 보입니다.
Yeah,
It's really hot.
It's really hot,
Europe
to say the
right now.
least.
Yep.
Not just France, right? In all of Europe,
Yes.
Western Europe here. The French government, so much so, has actually banned alcohol consumption at public events so that emergency and healthcare services can be on alert. Also, certain regions have completely banned all outdoor public activities, sporting events, cultural festivals, just in time for for the World Cup, unfortunately, but these are all measures taken to minimize sort of any damage or fatalities because last year alone, there were 5,700 heat-related fatalities in France. So I think authorities there are being extra vigilant, I guess, I suppose, to heat. And like I said, not just France, but Spain has been bracing temperatures up into the 40s as well as Portugal and the UK as well.
네. 작년에 프랑스에서만 아까 5,700명 정도의 온열 질환자가 나왔다고요?
Yeah.
와, 상당히 작년에도 덥고 그로 인해서 아팠던 그런 이제 사람들이 많은데 올해 또 더 더운 것 같아요. 뭐 비슷합니다. 그래서 지금 프랑스 같은 경우는 일부 지역은 최대 42도, 평균적으로는 39도에서 40도까지 전체 프랑스에서 이렇게 기온이 높다고 하고요. 그다음에 이제 뭐 유럽 전반적으로도 많이 덥네요. 스페인 40도에서 44도, 포르투갈도 42도, 영국 36도. 보통 영국은 그렇게 더워지진 않았던 걸로 저는 기억하는데 지금 뭐 전혀 얘기가 다릅니다. 독일도 38도.
Yeah, the UK is on pace to shatter its all-time June temperature
맞아요.
record. And, you know, I have friends in the UK I've spoken to. Some of these regions aren't prepared for these heat-related.
I know.
A lot of houses in the UK don't have air conditioning,
That's
is my
true.
understanding.
Yes,
Yeah, so that's why maybe they're ill-prepared in a way.
자, 그럼 표현을 한번 보겠습니다. 1/3 of the country.
Yeah, 1/3 simply meaning 1/3 as a fraction, 33.3333%, right?
우리는 이제 3분의 1 해가지고 분모부터 말하고 그 다음에 분자를 얘기하지만 영어는요 분자부터 말하고 그 다음에 분모를 얘기하는 거죠.
Yes.
1/3, 1/10, 2/5, 4/6 뭐 이런 식으로.
Or 1/3, 2/5, 6/10.
그래요.
Yes.
그래서 이게 읽는 방식은 좀 다른데 1/3 하면은 3분의 1 of the country. 전국의 3분의 1. What about the word affect? And this can be confusing because it sounds like effect.
Yes. So, of course, native speakers make this mistake all the time. Affect with an A, A-F-F-E-C-T, is a verb, meaning you have influence over something. Effect with an E is the noun form of that, right?
그렇죠. affect. A로 시작하는 단어는 동사고 무엇에 영향을 미치다. effect. E로 시작하는 단어는 명사고 효과라는 뜻이겠죠. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. France has issued its highest level red heat alert for over 1/3 of the country, affecting about 26 million people as temperatures soar up to 42 degrees Celsius.
Experts estimate the war between the U.S. and Iran has left behind an economic bill of at least $132 billion that will continue to strain American consumers and businesses.
전문가들은 미국과 이란 간 전쟁으로 발생한 경제적 손실이 최소 1,320억 달러에 달하며 이 피해액이 앞으로도 미국 경제에 지속적인 부담을 줄 것으로 내다봤습니다.
Yeah, it's much higher than the initial estimate of $29 billion that was reported to Congress because the government failed to, apparently, according to these experts, failed to factor in costly base repairs and munitions replenishments. And also, if you take into account soaring prices of gas at the pump, and, you know, higher fuel and raw material costs mean broader sort of increase in costs in logistics, aviation, and the manufacturing sector. Basically, every industry is affected by this war, and that's why the U.S. Federal Reserve doesn't look like it's going to cut interest rates anytime soon.
So, even though the war has stopped, the impact of that continues.
Right. The fighting has stopped,
Yeah.
right? But negotiations for
Continue.
For a treaty or a compromise continue, yes.
그래요. 자, 어찌 보면은 일단은 전쟁이 멈춘 모양새입니다만 청구서는 남아있는 그런 모습이라고 볼 수 있겠죠.
Yeah, and generations to come will probably still be paying for this.
Oh,
yeah.
generations.
Yeah,
My goodness.
possibly.
그래요. 그래서 지금 미국 국방부에서는 상당히 지금 그 피해액이 크다 이렇게 추정을 하고 있습니다. 그 다음에는 뭐 국제유가 계속해서 높고요. 항공권, 해상 운임 여기에도 이제 가격이 뭐 금세 떨어지거나 이럴 조짐은 잘 보이지 않고 있죠. 지금
Yeah.
현재.
Fertilizer costs, right? Driving up grocery prices, right?
Exactly. 네. 뭐 원자재 가격이나 식품 가격도 뭐 마찬가지입니다. 자, 무언가 이렇게 남겨둘 때 you leave it behind, right?
Yeah. So, like, literally, if I leave behind my pen after the show, that means I forget it.
Yeah.
Right. But here, figuratively speaking, it's sort of creating this lasting legacy or a result or an impact of something.
Yeah.
Right?
In Home Alone, Kevin, was it Kevin?
Kevin, yes.
Yeah. Kevin was left behind.
Yes.
이거예요. 남겨지다라고 할 때 be left behind라고 할 수 있고요. 이제 그건 수동태고 능동태로는 leave behind something or leave something behind.
Right. I think George W. Bush, former president, had an education policy called No Child Left Behind, right?
That's a good policy. Yeah, of course. And that means no child should be behind when it comes to the curriculum, what they learn at school. 이런 거 이제 학교에서도 뒤처지는 아이가 없도록 하자라는
Yes.
그런 정책이었죠. 자, 그런 것처럼 이제 뭐 남기다 아니면은 이제 그 수동태로 썼을 때는 남겨지다, 뒤처지다 이게 될 수 있는데 자, 지금 미국과 이란의 전쟁 일단은 어느 정도 일단락이 된 모습입니다만은 그래도 그 영향, 그 여파가 여전히 남아 있습니다. So the war between the US and Iran has left behind a big economic bill. A bill이라는 것은 여기서 청구서, 계산서라는 뜻인데 비유적으로 썼을 거고요. What about a strain?
Yeah, to
Oh,
strain,
to strain.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
In this case,
Yeah.
as a verb,
Yes.
strain means you're pushing something to the limit. Right? Or you're putting pressure on something. So in this case, the pressure would be the economic pressure or the strain put on consumers and businesses.
Strain can be a noun, in which case it would be sort of like 부담 or 무리. And then, as you said, as a verb, that's how it's used in the headline here. 부담을 주다, 무리를 주다. So here it says, this economic bill after the war between the US and Iran will continue to strain consumers and businesses.
Yeah. And you can strain physically too, right? So if you strain, if you're weightlifting, you're straining your muscles.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you can't see very far, you're straining your eyes, you're squinting, trying to see and focus whatever you're looking at.
There's that extra bit of effort involved in
yes.
all of these things.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, so it's going to continue to burden consumers and businesses, in this case, the economic impact of the war between the US and Iran. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Experts estimate the war between the US and Iran has left behind an economic bill of at least $132 billion that will continue to strain American consumers and businesses. Let's move on. This is headline number 4.
A long-forgotten composition notebook handwritten by Mozart when he was just 22, featuring 7 pieces for flute and harp, has been discovered at France's National Library.
모차르트가 불과 22살 때 직접 손으로 쓴 악보가 담긴 일명 레슨 공책이 프랑스 국립도서관에서 발견됐습니다. 그동안 작자 미상 자료로 보관돼 있던 이 공책에는 플루트와 하프를 위한 곡 7편이 담겨 있는 것으로 전해졌습니다.
Yeah.
Well, we all knew that Mozart was a prodigy, but wow, new discoveries even in 2026.
Still to this
Yes,
day,
I
you
know.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
supposedly this notebook was composed back in the late 18th century, and it contains exercises that Mozart used to teach the daughter of this royal, I guess,
Yeah.
the Duke of Guienne, and that family had commissioned his famous concerto for flute and harp, but it was since discovered by a curator at this France's National Library while they were sorting through old papers before his retirement.
Yeah.
It's since been authenticated, and it's been thought that this piece of work was confiscated from the Duke's home during the French Revolution. And this is great news if you are a flutist or a flautist, and harpists who historically have had a limited classical repertoire. So they have more music to play
Oh,
now.
wow.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
그래요. 플루트 연주자, 또 하프 연주자들에게 희소식이네요. 새로운 악보가 이렇게 발견이
Yeah.
됐고, 물론 그전에도 악보는 있었습니다만, 이게 모차르트 건지는 몰랐죠. 대단한 발견인 것 같고, 여기에 지금 플루트와 하프를 위한 곡이, 7곡이 있는데, 그 중에서 6곡이 완성이 돼 있다고 하고요. 전체적으로는 공책이라고는 하는데, 44쪽이거든요. 책 아닌가요? 상당히 두꺼운 그런 매니스크립트라고 볼 수 있겠습니다.
And it was handwritten too.
그러니까요.
Yeah.
예전에 뭐 컴퓨터가 있었겠어요. 당연히 다 handwritten으로
Sure. Actually, you're right.
네, 했었을 텐데 1778년에 만들어진 그런 악보 공책, 작곡 레슨 공책입니다. 말씀해 주신 것처럼 한 이제 공작의 딸 과외를 했었나 봐요. 그 딸을 위해서 만들었던 공책이기는 한데요. 이제 프랑스 혁명 때 아마 이 매니스크립트, 이 공책이 압수당하지 않았을까 이렇게 좀 추정이 돼요. 그래서 한동안 좀 베일에 가려진 게 누가 쓴 그 악보일까 하면서 발견이 되기는 했었지만 이제 드디어 밝혀졌다고 해요.
Yes.
It was long forgotten, right?
It was because everyone had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So much time had passed. So whenever you have something nostalgic or mysterious, it could be emotional, that's long forgotten. Long hyphen forgotten. Right?
long 하고 어떤 단어가 나오면은 오랫동안 뭐뭐했다라는 뜻이 있어요.
Yeah.
long forgotten은 오랫동안 잊혀진 물건을 여기서는 묘사하고 있고 만약에 a long lost friend relative
Yeah.
그러면 오랫동안 연이 끊어졌다든지 아니면은 오랫동안 모르고 지냈다든지 이런 의미가 될 수 있겠죠.
Yep, exactly.
또 뭐가 있을까요? long gone.
Something's long gone.
Yeah,
That means
오랫동안 이제 간지 오래됐다.
it's permanently gone, right?
그래요. 그런 식으로
Yeah.
쓸 수 있고 또 뭐 이런 거 있죠. long lasting.
Long lasting. There you go.
그러면은 이제 오랫동안 지속된다라는 뜻이에요.
Yeah.
그래서 이거는 이제 과거라기보다는 어찌 보면 미래예요. 왜냐면 오래 지속되는 뭐 펌이라든지 long lasting relationships.
Yes.
오래 가는 관계 이런 게 또 있을 수 있죠. 자, long hyphen something. 그래서 이게 전체적으로는 이제 형용사의 모습을 띠고 있습니다. 자, what about piece? A piece, in this case, 7 pieces.
Yeah. In this case, we're talking about music,
Yeah.
right? So it's a complete work. It could be any sort of genre, but it's sort of a general, neutral term to indicate a completed work of music.
그래요. 그래서 음악에서 작품, 그러니까 뭐 몇 곡, 다음 곡을 들을까요? Let's have a listen to the next piece. 이런 식으로 표현을 해요. 그러니까 우리가 노래를 들을 때는 song이라고 하지만 이게 어떤 이제 연주곡이거나 이럴 때는 piece라고
Yes. And if it's very great, we call it a masterpiece.
하죠. Exactly.
Right? Yes.
Masterpiece. 자, 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. A long forgotten composition notebook, handwritten by Mozart when he was just 22, featuring 7 pieces for flute and harp, has been discovered at France's National Library. Now let's move on to our final headline now.
Experts warn that an extreme tanning trend spreading among Generation Z on social media, known as tan maxing, can significantly increase the risk of skin cancer.
소셜미디어에서 Z세대 사이에 tan maxing이라 불리는 과도한 태닝 트렌드가 확산하는 데 대해 전문가들은 피부암 발병 위험이 크게 높아질 수 있다는 우려를 나타냈습니다.
Yeah, not a trend that I recommend people take on here because there's various hashtags going around, things like tan talk, and it's a movement that pushes youth to pursue sort of this darker complexion to the absolute extreme.
Yeah.
And that's where I guess we can talk about this whole maxing sort of trend, right? It's all over viral whatever trends, and it's basically you're doing something to the extreme, right? And in this case, it'd be tan maxing. Other sort of trends like sleep maxing, beauty maxing, where you just take every situation and you go to extremes in a way. And so in this case, what dermatologists are warning is that this could be very dangerous because tanning is a direct biological sign of cellular skin damage. So, and the WHO recommends against long exposure to the sun, obviously. So, not a trend that I think you should look out for.
Of course, there's a very big cultural difference when it comes to what people prefer in terms of skin color or shades. In many Western countries, people prefer to be slightly tanned and they think it's very beautiful or sexy and desirable to have, a slight tan as opposed to being too white because then people think you look ill or sick. But in Asia, many people prefer to have a slightly fairer tone, a lighter, paler tone, or shade, as opposed to being darker. So there's a bit of a difference in perception. And now if we look at the health benefits, of course, staying away from the sun prevents not only cancer, but wrinkles. And I think that's why a lot of Asian people look young, because we stay away from the sun quite a lot.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you are in the sun constantly, you're going to get a little bit more, aged, wrinkly skin.
Yeah. I think in general, like you say, in Asia, there's this perception of trying to stay out of the sun a little more than in the West, perhaps.
그래요. 원래도 그런 인식이 있고 서양에서 태닝하는 걸 원래도 좋아하는데 요즘에는 그걸 더 좀 뭐라 그럴까요? 맥시멈으로 가져가는 거예요. 그래서 이 트렌드 이름이 태닝이 아니라 tan maxing이에요. 그래서 최대한으로 태닝을 정말 할 수 있는 어떤 최고 한도까지 하자. 이런 이제 유행이 있다고 하는데 당연히 피부에는 좋지 않겠죠. 자, tanning을 한번 볼까요? Tanning. What is tanning?
Yeah, when you tan something, obviously you're making your skin, in this case, darker. By exposing it to the sun. There is a different meaning when you're dyeing sort of leathers.
Yeah.
That's also called tanning, but that's something different.
Right. But when we're talking about our skin, we're being exposed to the sunlight quite a lot.
Yeah.
And purposefully as well. That's why people love the beach.
Yeah.
I love summertime. And I believe, this is my own personal sort of observation, the reason people love sunroofs in cars in the West is because they want to get as much sunlight as possible, even when they're driving.
And even convertibles. But
Convertibles, you want to get as much sun as possible.
Yeah, I have my opinions on that, especially here in Korea, because if you have a convertible, you really don't have much of a window to actually use it.
I think here it's more just sort of to maybe show off.
Yeah,
or,
I mean...
Yeah, people, because generally speaking... Like you said, Asians and Koreans, we don't like to get too much sun exposure.
Sun averse.
Yes. And also, there's a lot of traffic congestion.
Yes.
So there's not much of a need for a convertible.
Right.
But it's, preferences.
Absolutely. But in the wintertime,
that.
I don't see, opening up my car in the wintertime. Also, when you have fine dust, things like that. But to each their own.
그래요. 그래서 해외에서는 이제 자연적으로 태닝을 하지 못하면은 뭐 태닝 기계를 사용해서라도 태닝을 많이 하는데요. 이게 좀 위험할 수 있다. 더군다나 요즘에 유행 때문에 자외선 노출에 이제 조금 더 취약해질 수 있으니 전문가들은 피부암까지 갈 수 있다는 것을 경고하고 있고요. 자, significantly increase라는 것은 그러니까 현저히 높인다는 거죠. Not just increasing.
No. Significantly, right? By a large amount.
그렇죠. Significant other라는 표현을 아까 얘기했었는데 나의 굉장히 중요한 또 다른 나의 반쪽. 영어로는 이게 부부를 보통 이렇게 그 상대방 배우자 아니면은 뭐 연인도 이렇게 말할 수 있고요. 굉장히 가까운 사이면은 그때 this is my significant other. Significant은 굉장히 중요할 정도로 뭐뭐 하다라는 뜻이 있어요.
Yeah. And it's often used in sort of these formal academic news contexts. The opposite, I think, would be a negligible increase possible.
Okay.
Right? So it's an increase, but it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Okay.
Right?
So the opposite of significant increase in this case would be negligible increase.
Yeah, possibly.
Which means it's not that important.
It's not significant.
It's not significant.
Insignificant.
자, 그런데 여기서는요, significantly라는 부사를 써서 현저히 높인다라는 표현이 나왔습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. Experts warn that an extreme tanning trend spreading among Generation Z on social media, known as tan maxing, can significantly increase the risk of skin cancer. All right, well, that's it for the headlines this morning with Shane Harm.
Korea has frozen third quarter electricity rates for July through September to ease consumer burdens during the peak summer season, while the state-run power company KEPCO faces staggering liabilities exceeding 200 trillion won.
한국전력의 부채 규모가 무려 200조 원을 넘긴 가운데 올해 국내 3분기 전기요금이 현재 수준으로 동결됩니다. 이는 여름철 냉방 수요 증가에 따른 국민 전기요금 부담을 줄이기 위한 조치로 풀이됩니다. Okay, so, I mean, electricity prices, I'm sure this is on a lot of people's minds.
Absolutely, and of course, with everything going on in the Middle East, with the Strait of Hormuz, I think people are worrying about the price of everything.
Yep.
So the good news is there's not going to be a change. Prices will remain the same.
Okay.
So all the core cost segments, so that's going to be our basic charges, our energy usage rates, our climate environment fees, and the fuel cost adjustment rate, which is plus 5 per kilowatt hour, they're going to remain as they are. The issue is KEPCO has a huge debt. Their debt burden is over 200 trillion won.
Right.
And they're going to be selling us not necessarily cheap electricity, but cheaper electricity than they perhaps would need.
Right.
So the issue is how they can continue to operate. But at the same time, I think everyone is wondering and worrying perhaps how we're going to pay our electricity bills in the future.
Electricity bills 그러면은 이제 전기 요금을 얘기하고 있는 건데요. 전기 요금 그러면은 여러 가지 컴포넌트가 있습니다. 그러니까 한 가지 요금이 아니라 기본 요금이 있고요. 그다음에 전력량 요금, 기후 환경 요금, 또 연료비 조정 요금 이렇게 여러 가지 구성 요소가 있는데 그 중에서도 이제 이 연료비 조정 단가가 플러스 5원으로 동결이 된다. 그리고 이제 나머지 같은 경우에도요. 기본 요금, 전력량 요금, 기후 환경 요금도 손대지 않기로 했기 때문에 사실상 이제 똑같이 유지가 된다고 볼 수 있겠죠. What's easing something, Paul?
Well, to make it easier. To lessen the burden, to make it less troublesome or problematic, to take the strain off. So it can be somebody easing someone else's pain, for example. If you have physical pain, you go to the doctor. Hopefully they will help ease your pain. If you have emotional pain, you might go to your best friend and they will ease your troubles. But we can also have financial easing, different kinds of easing. The point is, it's making the situation better in some way.
네. 부담을 줄이다, 고통을 완화하다. 이럴 때 easing pain, easing burden이라고 표현을 하죠. In this case, we're talking about electricity prices, and that's a burden for all of us. So the government is hoping to ease the burden by at least keeping it steady.
Exactly. We'll see what happens, though.
In the meantime, KEPCO has a lot of liabilities.
Oh dear, I don't think this is a word that anybody likes.
No.
It's a liability is some kind of financial obligation. It's a debt. You owe money. You've got to pay money back in some way. So if there are liabilities, in this case KEPCO has large liabilities, it means they owe money.
부채, 빚이라는 뜻입니다. 자, 한전의 상황을 얘기하고 있는 거죠. 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Korea has frozen third quarter electricity rates for July through September to ease consumer burdens during the peak summer season, while the state-run power company KEPCO faces staggering liabilities exceeding 200 trillion won. Let's move on to the second headline.
Europe has succumbed to a prolonged heat wave driven by an African heat dome that has sent temperatures soaring towards 40 degrees Celsius, disrupting transit networks, forcing cuts to power generation at nuclear plants, and triggering environmental emergencies for heat-stressed wildlife.
유럽 전역에서 북아프리카에 뜨거운 공기덩어리가 유입돼 형성된 열돔 현상으로 인해 기온이 섭씨 40도에 육박하는 등 폭염이 장기화하고 있습니다. 이에 따라 유럽 각국에서는 열차 운행이 중단되거나 원전 가동이 제한되고 야생 생태계도 열 스트레스로 위협받는 상황이 발생하고 있습니다. It's so hot that people are saying, you know what, we were going to go out on the streets to cheer for the World Cup, but we're not doing that anymore.
No, Madrid,
no,
they've cancelled public
it's
screenings.
Too hot.
It is. And Italy, France, and Spain are bearing the brunt of these very, very hot days. We're talking about over 40 degrees in some places. In France, for example, they had to cancel some trains because there were issues with heat expansion on the tracks,
Yeah.
risks of trains derailing. In Germany, they've had extreme thunderstorms, they've had flash rainstorms, they even had to suspend the Berlin Open tennis final. So all sorts of things are going on. It seems like every summer Europe is going through one of these temperature crises where temperatures get over 40 degrees, things have to be cancelled, things have to be postponed, and people's lives in occasion are in danger.
네, 뭐 거리 응원도 그렇고 야외에서 할 예정이었던 스포츠 행사도 그렇고요. 지금 뭐 속속 다 취소가 되고 있는 상황인데 너무 더워서 그렇습니다. 일부 학교도 휴교를 해야 되고요. 열차도 운행이 중단이 될 정도로 너무 더운 거죠. So Europe has succumbed to this heat wave. What
Yes.
does that mean?
It means it's been beaten. It has surrendered. It's given up. The heat wave or the heat dome has succeeded. If we surrender or if we yield, it suggests that we're choosing to do it. We say, I surrender.
Yeah.
Whereas if we succumb to something, it feels like we've been beaten. Yeah, we're on the losing side of whatever it is. So in this case, Europe can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
They can only start cancelling events and taking precautions.
How do you spell this word?
SUCCUMB.
succumb. 뒤에 succumb 이렇게 발음하진 않고요. 네, B는 silent입니다. 그래서 굴복하다의 의미가 있어요. So Europe has said, okay, heat wave, you've defeated us.
Yeah, we can't do anything about it. We're just going to give up.
그런 상황일 때 Europe has succumbed to a prolonged heat wave. 장기화된 그 열돔 현상 아니면 폭염 이 상황 거기에 유럽이 굴복할 수밖에 없는 현실이라는 얘기가 되겠고요. 그다음에 heat stressed wildlife.
Well, wildlife are going to be your animals,
Yeah.
your birds, your insects even.
Sure.
And if they're heat stressed, well, they're suffering from the heat. There's too much heat for them to handle. Like if you're a pet owner, if you have a cat or a dog or another animal, you are very aware of the dangers of being heat stressed. If your doggy is too hot and doesn't have enough water or is trapped in a hot room, you've got to do something because it can be really dangerous. And
Yeah.
these are the issues with wildlife. There are these environmental emergencies because of the heat.
So heat-stressed means that you are stressed because of the heat. Another similar structure would be sun-kissed. And that means your skin looks like it's been kissed by the sun, which is like, a nice tan.
Yes, and while you may be sun-kissed during the summer, I am very much heat-stressed.
Oh, yes, I see. But of course, in this case, we're talking about the wildlife that has been stressed by the heat. So
Yes.
heat-stressed wildlife. 고온으로 스트레스를 받은 야생동물. 이 정도로 직역을 할 수 있을 것 같은데요. 어떻게 보면은 이제 열로 인해서 위협을 받고 있는 야생동물이란 얘기겠죠. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Europe has succumbed to a prolonged heat wave driven by an African heat dome that sent temperatures soaring toward 40 degrees Celsius, disrupting transit networks, forcing cuts to power generation at nuclear plants, and triggering environmental emergencies for heat-stressed wildlife.
A London borough has successfully curbed urban flooding after reintroducing wild beavers for the first time in 400 years, relying on the animals' dam-building instincts to transform a local river into a water-absorbing wetland system.
영국 런던의 한 자치구가 현지에서 400년 전에 사라진 야생 비버를 다시 들여오는 방법으로 상습 침수 피해를 막아내 화제입니다. 댐을 만드는 비버의 본능을 활용한 조치로 해당 지역을 흐르는 강 유역이 물을 흡수하는 천연 습지로 변모한 것으로 알려졌습니다. Wow, this is amazing.
It is. I think decades ago, the first thought would be reservoirs. That'll be the way to sort it out. If we build a reservoir, we'll have less flooding.
Yeah.
But actually, the natural approach of reintroducing beavers has worked really well. There was a family of 5 wild beavers that were introduced back in 2023. This is in the borough of Ealing in London, onto this wetland conservation site. First time they've been there for 400 years. And, well, they've been a huge success. They've managed to reduce the flooding.
Yeah.
They've made these wetlands into a better place. I think it's a fantastic example to us all of what we can do if we actually listen to nature and maybe treat the animals around us with a bit more respect.
그러니까요. 이게 멸종 동물로 이렇게 보여지기도 했었던 그런 비버, 멸종 동물이었죠. 400년 전에 사라졌었으니까. 근데 이 비버를 활용해서 이번에 이제 홍수 때문에 상당히 고생을 많이 했던 그런 도시가 덕을 보게 된 겁니다. 참고로 이 borough라는 거는요, 자치구예요.
네.
그래서 런던 안에 있는 이제 한 지역을 얘기하고 있습니다. 그래서 그 지역에서는 비버 덕분에 이제 댐을 자연적으로 비버들이 만들어주고 그로 인해서 홍수가 덜 발생하는 일이 생겨났습니다.
Yeah, because that's what beavers do. They make dams and they burrow and they make ways for the water to escape the river
Yeah.
and to create marshes or bogs or fens or swamps.
Exactly. 자, reintroducing이라는 것은 도입이 될 수도 있겠고요. 여기서는 다시 이 비버를 들여왔다가 될 텐데요. This borough in London is relying on the dam building skills of these beavers.
Yes, meaning they're depending on them. They need to get help from them, or they're choosing to get help from them.
Yeah.
If we rely on someone, then we're getting them to do things for us or to help us in some way.
I think we both rely on each other when we do the show.
Oh, absolutely.
To a certain extent.
And we also rely on our team.
Yes.
Behind the glass, we could not do the show without them.
네, 누구에 의존하다, rely on someone. And what about a wetland system?
Now wetlands, this is the sort of the technical term that we use in modern day, but growing up, I heard the term bog used a lot, or swamp, or marsh,
Yeah.
fen. These are all examples of areas where the ground is either saturated with water or covered with water, either part of the year or all year round. So basically, any soggy area is a wetland.
습지예요. The wetland, bog, marsh, swamp 다 마찬가지가 되겠습니다. 근데 이제 습지 생태계를 여기서는 wetland system이라고 얘기하고 있죠. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. A London borough has successfully curbed urban flooding after reintroducing wild beavers for the first time in 400 years, relying on the animals' dam-building instincts to transform a local river into a water-absorbing wetland system. Okay, let's move on to the next headline.
A new study suggests that pigeons may navigate using a gut feeling, relying on iron-rich immune cells in their livers that act as a compass to detect Earth's magnetic field.
비둘기가 비행 시 방향을 찾는 원리를 연구한 결과 간 속에 존재하는 철 성분이 풍부한 면역 세포가 지구 자기장을 감지하는 나침반 역할을 하는 것일 수 있다는 설이 제기됐습니다. Wow, they have a natural compass in their bodies.
Well, yes, and it's not just pigeons.
Okay.
There are suggestions that this could solve a lot of mysteries when it comes to animals and their innate sense of direction. So what they have is they have these iron-rich cells in their livers.
Yeah.
And, of course, if you put a magnet to iron, what happens? The iron is attracted. So they get a natural attraction. They can feel it, literally, in their gut as to where they should go. And researchers did some experiments. They took out these specific liver cells in some pigeons, and if the sun wasn't visible, they lost their way. They didn't know where they were going. They could still navigate by the sun as a visual guide, but if the sun wasn't there, they didn't have that gut feeling. They couldn't do that.
How interesting.
Yeah, and it's not just pigeons. There are many other birds that may well have the same thing happening within their livers. It could be for mice as well, for other species. So it's getting to understand how migration can occur, how birds know where to go. It really is fascinating.
네, 비둘기에는 철 성분이 아주 풍부한 그런 면역 세포가 있다고 해요. 그래서 철은 영어로 iron이라고 하고 그게 풍부하면은 hyphen rich 이렇게 iron rich라고 표현할 수 있어요. So pigeons have iron rich immune cells 면역세포. 이거를 이제 제거하고 흐린 날씨에 비둘기를 날게 했더니 방향을 잃었답니다. 그런가 하면은 또 원래 그냥 가지고 있는 비둘기들은 흐린 날씨에 앞이 잘 안 보여도 방향을 정확하게 잡고 어디로 가야 되는지 알았다. 그러니까 그때는 이제 시각적인 것에 의존하지 않고 not relying on visual things.
No.
흐리니까 정말 어떤 이제 간 속에 있는 요 철 성분들이 자기장 역할을 한 게 아닐까 하는 요런 추측이 나오는 거죠. It's very fascinating. Let's have a look at a gut feeling, and I like the usage of this expression here.
Yes, so this is a literal gut feeling, a feeling in their guts that tells them go this way.
It's a bit of a double entendre, though, isn't it?
Well, yes,
Yeah.
yes, but when we use gut feeling normally, it's not because something physically is happening in our stomach or in our liver. It's just that we have an innate feeling or an instinctual feeling, or a hunch is another way to say it. For example, when I was living in London and walking home at night, I would get a gut feeling about some alleys and some roads. I'd be like, I don't think I should walk down this alley tonight. I'm going to take the long way round.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of any logic. It wasn't because of any reasoning. It was just a feeling I had that maybe this was not a good idea. That's a kind of gut feeling. If you see detectives sometimes, Columbo was famous for having his hunches or his gut feelings.
직감이나 본능을 gut feeling이라고 합니다. 그래서 just, I don't know, use your gut feeling or go by your gut feeling. 이렇게 말하면 그냥 본능을 따라, 네 직감을 믿어 이런 의미가 될 텐데요. 이 gut feeling이 말 그대로 하면은 장기의 느낌 이런 거잖아요. 그래서 여기서는 이중적인 의미로 썼다고 볼 수 있어요. 실제로 비둘기들이 이 장기, 그러니까 간 속에 있는 이런 그 아연, 철 성분에 의해서 방향 감각이 있는 것 같다라는 그런 이제 정말 말 그대로 gut에서 어떤 feeling이 있는 것일 수도 있고, 그 다음엔 또 그냥 또 다른 의미, 지금 말한 비유적인 거. 직감에 의해서 이렇게 나는 것 같다. 두 가지 의미가 다 되겠죠. What about acting as a compass?
If something acts as a, or acts as something, it means it's behaving in that way. It's doing the same thing, or looking like the same thing, or doing the same job. So here, a compass tells us which way is north. It tells us which direction we can go. And so these cells are acting as a compass. They're behaving in the same way.
네, 나침반 역할을 하다. Act as a compass. Magnetic field는 자기장이 되겠습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. A new study suggests that pigeons may navigate using a gut feeling, quote unquote, relying on iron-rich immune cells in their livers that act as a compass to detect Earth's magnetic field. Let's move on to the final headline.
An ancient oak tree famously linked to the legend of Robin Hood has died in England's Sherwood Forest at 1,200 years old, following decades of tourist foot traffic and severe climate change droughts.
영국 셔워드 숲에 있는 수령 1200년의 오래된 나무로 로빈후드 전설과 깊은 관련이 있는 거대한 참나무가 수십 년 동안 이어진 관광객들의 방문과 심각한 기후변화로 인한 가뭄을 견디지 못하고 고사한 것으로 전해졌습니다.
Yeah, it's sad news.
Yeah.
And it links back in some ways to our second headline today. We were talking about the heat wave in Europe. And this is one of the issues. The climate crisis has meant we've had severe heat waves in England, which we never really had before, and also longer droughts. And that, combined with foot traffic, has caused problems. So people coming to the forest and coming around the tree and walking around has compressed the earth around the tree. Yeah. And that has caused issues for the root system. It's basically stopped it from being able to expand and explore in its normal way. And also packing down the soil has meant that rainwater hasn't been able to get to the roots as effectively as it used to. So these two things combined has sadly led to the death of the tree.
네. 기온도 기온이고요. 그 다음에 굉장히 많은 방문객들로 인해서 토양이 이제 굉장히 많이 눌리고 다져지고 그러다 보니까 뿌리에 이게 빗물 전달이 상당히 어려워졌다고 합니다. 그래서 충분한 그런 영양분을 받지 못하고 또 너무 더운 날씨도 견뎌내야 하고 그러다 보니까 1500년의 역사를 가지고 있었던 이 참나무가 oak tree 고사했다는 소식입니다. Alright. Well, it's very sad because it had been around ever since the tale of Robin Hood.
Yes, whether Robin Hood was real or
Yeah,
not,
exactly.
That tree in particular was associated with this story. And I think certainly I visited it when I was a kid. Did you ever go and visit the tree?
I did, yeah.
I think many kids took the pilgrimage with their parents
In
to go and
Nottingham,
see.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
to go and see Sherwood Forest and that tree in particular.
Okay, so this tree was linked to Robin Hood.
Yes, meaning it was connected to Robin Hood. There was some sort of connection between the two.
Can you briefly, if you can, tell us who Robin Hood was?
Yes, Robin Hood, or Robin of Locksley, was a nobleman who basically went off on the Crusades, came back and decided to change his ways. He saw the dire situations that poor people were living in, and so he became a thief. But he became a thief of a particular kind who robbed from the rich to give to the poor. Yes. He had a band of merry men. There was Little John, who was not so little. There was Friar Tuck, who was a drunken monk, and various others. Yeah. And there are a whole heap of stories surrounding Robin Hood. British kids, certainly our generation, grew up hearing these stories, reading these stories, and fantasizing about being Robin Hood or Maid Marian, his love interest, or one of the merry men.
Yes. Of course, this is a legend. This is a tale. We don't know for sure if Robin Hood existed, but nonetheless, it's a tale that all British kids grow up listening to.
Yes.
And in Korea, we have a slightly similar character, do we not?
I think you could link Hong Il-dong to Robin Hood, except for Robin Hood, there's no magic involved. I think that's the big difference.
Okay.
Yes, they're very similar in personality, indeed, but not in the supernatural abilities.
좋아요. 자, 그다음에 tourist foot traffic.
When we talk about foot traffic, that is the number of people walking in a particular area. So governments will often take measurements of foot traffic to see, do we need to make this street more pedestrian friendly? Let's look at the foot traffic. Yep. Let's look at how many people are walking here on a daily basis.
Exactly. So when you want to say how many people come to a store or a certain area, then you say there's a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah.
There's not enough foot traffic. 유동인구를 얘기하고 있는 거예요. Now here we're talking about the 관광객 유동인구, tourist foot traffic.
Yes.
And there was too much of it.
Absolutely. So, rest in peace to that poor oak.
Yes. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. An ancient oak tree, famously linked to the legend of Robin Hood, has died in England's Sherwood Forest at 1,200 years old, following decades of tourist foot traffic and severe climate change droughts. Well, that's it for the headlines with Paul Matthews.
The number of Korean wage workers who earn over 5 million won per month has reached a record 3.7 million, though sharp income disparities persist across industries.
우리나라에서 월급 500만 원 이상을 받는 임금 근로자가 370만 명을 넘어서며 역대 최대치를 기록했으나 산업별 임금 격차는 여전히 큰 것으로 조사됐습니다. Tell us more, Karen.
Yeah, so I guess this is good news considering that the number of workers who earn over a certain amount of money per month has increased. So they're saying that more than 3.7 million South Korean wage workers now earn at least 5 million won, which is around $3,600 per month, and it's the highest number since records began in 2013, and they account for 16.5% of all salaried workers, reflecting continued growth in wages amid rising prices. High-income workers are concentrated, they say, in finance, professional services, IT, and manufacturing, where nearly 1 in 4 employees earns over 5 million won monthly. And we mentioned the income disparities.
Yeah.
They say that it does persist across industries. So in contrast, sectors such as accommodation, food services, and health and social welfare have far lower wage levels, highlighting the significant income disparities between industries. So experts are warning that these gaps could widen further as manufacturing wages rise and may also add inflationary pressure.
금융업, 정보통신업 등등이 이렇게 500만 원 이상인 반면에 또 이렇게 뭐 보건 사회복지업이라든지 숙박업, 음식업 같은 경우에는 평균적으로 그렇지 못한 모습입니다. So overall, even though there are more people earning more than 5 million won,
Yeah.
there is a big disparity. And so depending on which industry you work in, this could be bad news. It could be good news. Depends on your situation, of course.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at the word income disparity.
Right. So income it refers to the amount of money that you make. So the income disparity, it refers to the unequal distribution of income across the population. And it sort of highlights the financial gap between the highest and the lowest earners inside a population.
자, 여기서 disparity라는 표현이 격차를 뜻하는 단어인데요. 원래는 이제 균등하지 못하다. 그래서 이 불균등을 얘기합니다. income이라는 것은 소득이겠죠. 그래서 소득 격차를 income disparity라고 얘기하고 있고, disparity는 스펠링이 D-I-S-P-A-R-I-T-Y. 복수 형태일 때는 I-E-S. What about persisting?
If something persists, it means it continues. So it could continue. Something could continue to do something, or something could continue to exist. Often we use this term when something is continuing to do something despite difficulties, or despite warnings, or maybe despite opposition.
Yeah, I think that's the key point.
Yes.
Despite the fact that you don't want it to continue,
Yeah.
it is continuing.
Yes.
원치는 않지만 지속되는 무언가가 있을 때 persist를 많이 씁니다. continue랑 겹치는 부분도 있지만 예를 들자면은 I have a sort of persisting headache.
Yes.
I don't want this headache to
Right.
continue.
You want it to go away.
Yeah. Or person keeps persisting that I do something. So maybe I don't want them to say that, but they keep insisting.
Right.
And insisting is more neutral. Persisting can be, like I said, maybe not desirable.
A little nuanced, right?
Yeah, a little bit. In this case, we're talking about income disparities that persist. So again, it's not something that's desirable. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 이 지속된다라는 persist까지 해서 같이 읽어보겠습니다. The number of Korean wage workers who earn over 5 million won per month has reached a record 3.7 million, though sharp income disparities persist across industries. Well, let's move on to headline number 2.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced his resignation following months of political turmoil, becoming the nation's sixth leader in a decade to step down outside 10 Downing Street.
지난 수개월 동안 정치적 어려움을 겪어온 키어 스타머 영국 총리가 사임을 발표했습니다. 이로써 그는 최근 10년 사이 영국에서 사임한 6번째 총리로 기록됐습니다. Okay. What do we know?
So he has announced his resignation after growing pressure from within the ruling Labour Party, despite winning a landslide election victory in 2024. So he did say that he will remain as caretaker prime minister until the party selects a new leader, with former Andy Burnham emerging as the front runner after receiving support from the former health secretary. They say Starmer's popularity has fallen amid economic challenges the country has been facing. There's been cost of living pressures and policy missteps. And the party has also faced growing competition from the Green Party of England and Wales and Reform UK. So leadership nominations will open on July 9th, with a new leader expected to be in place by early September. And despite the domestic struggles that he's been facing at home, Starmer has earned international praise for his support of Ukraine and also his efforts to strengthen European security.
키어 스타머 영국 총리가 사임을 발표했습니다. 지난 10년 사이 벌써 6번째 사임 발표를 한 영국 총리예요.
Yeah.
제임스 캐머런, 테레사 메이, 보리스 존슨, 그다음에는 리즈 트러스, 리시 수낙, 이제는 키어 스타머까지. In the UK, of course, the majority party and its leader become the head of the government.
Yeah.
And so the Labour Party was headed by Keir Starmer.
Right.
Now that he's stepped down, the Labour Party is now trying to pick a new leader. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you said, we're expecting it to be Andy Burnham, who is the former Greater Manchester mayor. But we don't know for sure yet. It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
아직까지는 차기 총리가 누가 될지 확정된 것은 아니지만 거의 확실시되고 있습니다. 지금 앤디 버넘이 가장 유력한 이제 당수가 될 것으로 보이기 때문에 당의 리더가 이 나라의 리더가 되죠. 영국에서는요.
Yeah.
다수 당의 리더가요.
Past 10 years, they've had how many leaders?
6.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the 6th resignation.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of prime ministers. Okay, there's been a lot of turmoil in recent months.
Right. So that's exactly, I think, what's causing the shift or the change in leadership. So turmoil, it describes a state of confusion, uncertainty, disorder, or great anxiety. So it describes, it could be a mental state,
Right.
or it could be a political state, and it's characterized by agitation, commotion, or a lack of stability.
turmoil이라는 거는요, 소동이나 소란, 혼란을 얘기하고 있습니다. 그래서 정치적으로 상당히 혼란스러웠던 지난 몇 개월을 묘사하고 있고, 그로 인해서 당 내에서도 이제는 키어 스타머가 내려왔으면 좋겠다 하는 의견을 제시했다고 하죠. 그래서 동의하에 이렇게 됐습니다. So he's stepped away from 10 Downing Street. 갑자기 이제 주소가 왜 나오나 이럴 수도 있지만 뭐 익숙하신 분들은 잘 아시겠지만
Yeah.
What is 10 Downing Street?
10 Downing Street. So it's the official residence and the executive office of the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So do people in England, do they just call it number 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's right.
that's what it's colloquially known as. So it's like how we say the White House or 청와대. Yeah.
Yep, 맞아요. 그래서 영국 총리의 관저이기도 하고요. 집무실이기도 합니다. 근데 이게 이제 나라마다 다 다르죠. 미국은 지금 말하신 것처럼 백악관, 화이트하우스. 우리는 이제 청와대가 될 텐데 영국에서는 형태는 그냥 일반 집처럼 겉으로 보기에는 그렇게 보이기는 해요. 그래서 번지수가 있는 거예요. 다우닝 스트리트에 있는 10번, 10 Downing Street. 그렇지만 이제 뭐 Love Actually라든지 이런 영화를 통해서 알게 됐지만 그 안에 들어가면 어마어마하게
Yeah.
방대한
It's huge.
굉장히 큽니다.
Of
네,
course.
집의 모습이 전혀 아니에요.
Yeah.
겉에서는 그냥 집 같아요. 이렇게 나란히 이렇게 여러 집이 붙어 있는 듯한 이런 모습인데 그래서 이제 총리의 관저를 얘기할 때 영국에서는 10 Downing Street or just number 10
Number 10.
이렇게 말하면은 다 알아듣습니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼까요? UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced his resignation following months of political turmoil, becoming the nation's 6th leader in a decade to step down outside 10 Downing Street.
Lionel Messi has become the sole all-time leading scorer in World Cup history after scoring twice in Argentina's 2-0 victory over Austria, bringing his career tournament total to 18 goals and securing his team a spot in the round of 32.
아르헨티나의 리오넬 메시가 오스트리아를 상대로 2대0 승리를 기록한 경기에서 두 골을 모두 넣으며 월드컵 통산 개인 득점 단독 1위에 올랐습니다. 이 경기로 지금까지 그가 기록한 월드컵 총 득점은 18골이며 아르헨티나는 32강 진출을 확정했습니다.
And did you expect them not to? I mean, they're one of the, teams that expected to win the whole thing.
Right, of course. But we had the other story just before this one when Messi scored a hat trick.
Yeah.
Argentina scored 3-0 that time, and all 3 goals were by Messi. And that's when he tied with Klose for the most number of goals scored during any World Cup game. And, you know, we were all saying just one more goal and he'll be the sole reigning number 1 scorer. And he scored 2.
It was bound to happen.
So all 5 goals that Argentina has scored so far were all by Messi.
Yeah.
and
there are many more games to go.
More games to come, exactly. And I mean, Messi is still going strong.
Yeah, he's almost 40, right?
I know.
Yeah, he's going strong. Now they're probably betting on how many goals he can make during the tournament. So exactly, that's what happened. He became the all-time leading scorer in FIFA World Cup history after scoring twice in Argentina's 2-0 victory over Austria in the 2026 World Cup group stage. So the 2 goals have raised Messi's career World Cup total to 18, and like you mentioned, that surpassed Klose's previous record of 16. And their team, Argentina, secured a place in the round of 32 with its 2nd consecutive win. No one expected them not to. And Messi has now scored all 5 of the teams. And it's so funny because they keep talking about how he just kind of floats around. He doesn't even run. He just kind of walks.
Makes it look so effortless.
Easy, right? Yeah, and that's what they're talking about.
And the way he shoots as well. It's like the goal,
impossible.
The ball has a life of its own when it hits Messi's feet.
It's magic.
It sort of curves and swerves.
It just goes in.
It
goes in no matter what, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they're very lucky he's on the team, right? So he scored all 5 of the team's goals in the tournament. I don't know what they would do without him. And
not very well, maybe. I don't know. No, they would still do well.
They still have excellent players.
Not as well, maybe.
And the star also extends his records for most World Cup appearances with 28 and most World Cup attacking points with 18 goals and 8 assists, and has now scored in 6 consecutive World Cup matches and is emerging as leading contender for the tournament's Golden Boot Award.
와, 월드컵 출전도 28경기로 이제 이렇게 또 엄청난 기록을 세우게 됐고요. 클로제는 월드컵에서 통산 16골을 득점했는데 지난주였나요? 그 전주였나? 그때 이제 메시가 공동 1위를 기록했었죠.
Yes.
똑같이 16골. 근데 이제는 단독 1위. 이 월드컵 통산 득점 순위에서 단독 1위가 됐습니다. 이 단독이라는 단어를 영어로는 뭐라고 할까요?
Soul.
Soul.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
It's S-O-L-E, kind of like the sole of your foot, but it means the one and only, or
so how
single.
do you use it? So a soul winner?
Yes,
soul...
he became the sole
scorer.
all-time leading scorer.
아하.
Yeah.
soul이 형용사로 쓰이는 거군요.
Yes.
그래서 단독 1위라는 뜻으로 he's now the sole leading scorer, all-time leading scorer. 그러면 역대
Yeah.
이 통산 득점 1위라는 뜻이 되겠습니다. And of course, he's secured his team a spot in the round of 32.
Right. So when you secure a spot, you can do this at restaurants. You can do this with reservations. And it means to successfully reserve or guarantee or obtain a specific position, a seat, an opportunity. So it ensures that your place is locked in so that it cannot be given to someone else.
Secure a spot. 자리를 확보하다. 근데 누구에게 자리를 확보했냐면은 자신이 속한 팀 아르헨티나에게 32강의 자리를 확보하게 해줬죠. So Messi has secured his team, Argentina, a spot in the round of 32.
Yep.
32강이 the round of 32입니다.
Yeah. So it's an elaborate way to say that the team made it to the round of 32.
Yeah. And on a side note, fingers crossed that we'll also make it to the round of 32.
Yes.
Right, let me read the headline
Go
again.
Team Korea.
네, Lionel Messi has become the sole all-time leading scorer in World Cup history after scoring twice in Argentina's 2-0 victory over Austria, bringing his career tournament total to 18 goals and securing his team a spot in the round of 32. Let's move on to the next headline.
Despite aggressive return to office mandates from major U.S. corporations, the country's remote work rate has remained largely unchanged over the past 2 years, signaling that working from home has settled into a new post-pandemic normal.
미국 기업들이 직원들의 사무실 복귀를 적극적으로 요구하고 있음에도 미국 내 재택근무 비율은 최근 2년간 큰 변화가 없는 것으로 나타나 재택근무가 팬데믹 이후 미국 노동시장의 새로운 표준으로 자리 잡은 것으로 분석됩니다.
Yep.
It's the new norm, the new normal for people to work at home.
Yeah, basically. So companies, corporations, they want people to come back to the office, but things aren't changing. People are still choosing to work at home.
이제 그 팬데믹 기간 동안에 새로 생겨났던 acronym 중에 하나가 Work from Home, WFH였죠.
Yeah.
이게 재택근무인데 또 다른 말로 remote
Working, yeah.
work라고 하기도 합니다. 둘 다 재택근무가 되겠고요. Working from home하고 working at home은 미세한 차이는 있어요. Working from home 그러면 집에서 일을 해가지고 뭐 보고서라든지 이런 것들을 그 다음에 이제 다른 곳에 있는 상사에게 전달하는 느낌이 있기 때문에 I work from home, but I send my work to the office 이런 느낌이 있죠.
Yeah.
Work at home은 그냥 내가 사장이 돼서 일할 수 있는 것도 work at home이고
Yeah.
뭐 work from home도 큰 범주에서 보면은 working at home이기도 해요. Okay, post-pandemic normal.
Post-pandemic normal, if you just say new normal, new norm, people will understand it as post-pandemic normal. And it's kind of this adjusted state of society and even the global economy following the COVID-19 crisis. And it kind of represents a fundamental shift in our daily behaviors. And we're kind of rejecting that full return to the pre-pandemic conditions. So, we're kind of adapting to things like hybrid working, where people are working from home. We're relying more on digital technology and sort of this altered public health practices.
A new normal or the new normal이라고 하면 새로운 표준이고요. post-pandemic는 팬데믹 이후니까 그렇게 팬데믹 이후에 새로 생긴 기준, 표준을 the new pandemic or post-pandemic normal 이렇게 부르죠. What about aggressive calls to come back?
Yeah, aggressive. So companies are aggressively calling their employees to come back to work Monday through Friday every day. And if they're being aggressive about it, that means they're very strong about it. They're intensely determined to get their employees to come back to the office.
aggressively는 아주 좀 뭐랄까요? 강력하게
It's forceful.
네, 그렇죠. 그런 느낌이 있는 건데 여기서는 aggressive mandates입니다. 그게 뭐냐면은 이제 사무실로 복귀하라는 지시예요.
Yeah.
그래서 그 지시를 강력하게 함에도 불구하고 많은 미국인들은 여전히 저는 그래도 재택근무할게요. 이렇게 하고 있는 것 같아요.
Yeah, they're saying nope.
네, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Despite aggressive return to office mandates from major US corporations, the country's remote work rate has remained largely unchanged over the past 2 years, signaling that working from home has settled into a new post-pandemic normal. And here's our final headline.
Jonathan the Tortoise has officially become a Guinness World Records icon, cementing his status as the oldest living terrestrial animal at 194 years.
194세의 나이에 거북이 조나단이 세계에서 가장 오래 생존한 육상동물로 인정받으며 기네스 세계기록의 대표 상징으로 소개됐습니다. 이게 이제 실제로 대문자 I를 써서
Yes.
기네스에서 발표하는 2026년의 아이콘 이 리스트가 있어요.
Yeah, it's an award.
네,
Yeah.
거기에 이제 올라가게 된 거고 거북인데 정확한 나이는 사실 우리가 몰라요. 그러나 최소 194살 194살? 194세라고 지금 추정을 할 수밖에 없습니다. 왜냐면은 뭐 무슨 동물원에서 태어나거나 그런 건 아니고 또 예전에 데이터가 그 서류가 뭐 이렇게 딱 있는 게 아니기
Yeah,
때문에
he doesn't have a birth certificate.
그래요.
Yeah.
출생신고서가 네, 없어서 그러나 여러 가지 기록으로 봤을 때 못해도 194년 동안 지금 살아있는 거북이죠. So I understand that normally tortoises they live up to at most 100 and is it 50 years?
Yeah.
But this one's nearly 200 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe older. We don't know.
We're not sure, but
Yeah.
they say that they're thinking he was born around 1832. So he's pretty old.
Yeah.
And so he's not only the world's oldest living land animal, he's also the oldest turtle that was ever recorded in history.
And you know what experts are saying? Considering his health right now, even though he is aging and he's lost his sense of smell and things like that, but they say he could live to be 300.
Yeah, he's in good health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
300살까지도 살 수 있을 것으로 보인다. 이런 얘기까지 나오고 있어요.
Yeah. So they're studying him. They're studying his DNA to
course.
better understand the secrets of longevity.
All right. So he's cemented his status as the oldest animal, land animal.
Right. When you cement something, that means you're making something firm, or you're tightly binding or uniting or securing something.
확고히 하다. 시멘트처럼 이게 굳힌다. 그래서 원래도 최고령 그런 이제 육지 동물로 기록을 가지고 있었죠. 이미 지금 194세니까 예전에 뭐 100세, 뭐 150세 이럴 때도 계속 그 기록을 가지고 있었는데 이번에 더 확고히 다시 한번 그 기록을 여전히 가지고 있는 동물로 기록을 세우게 됐고요. 이제 어떤 동물이냐? Terrestrial animal?
Yes, he's a terrestrial animal. That means he's a land animal. So he lives on land as opposed to in the sea or in the air. You can also use this word when we are talking about relating to the planet Earth as opposed to outer space.
E.T. Call Home. Was it Call Home or Phone Home? E.T. Phone Home, maybe.
E.T.
What's the line? 있잖아요.
E.T.
E.T.에서.
go home?
몰라요.
E.T. wants to go home? I don't know.
Yeah, 하여튼 간에
phone home?
E.T.가 바로 extraterrestrial입니다. 예, 그 얘기를 하고 싶어가지고. 스티븐 스필버그의 영화, E.T. T가 그래서 땅이라는 뜻이에요. 육지라는 뜻인데, E.T.는 물론 지구라는, 지구 밖, 외계인이라는 뜻으로 extraterrestrial out of this planet 라는 뜻으로 썼지만 보통 terrestrial 그러면 육지, 육상, 의라는 뜻이 있어서 여기서는 육상동물이 되겠습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. Jonathan the tortoise has officially become a Guinness World Records icon, cementing his status as the oldest living terrestrial animal at 194 years. That's it for the headlines this morning with Karen Choi.
The number of foreign tourists visiting Korea surpassed the 10 million mark ahead of the first half of the year, reaching the milestone about a month faster than 2025, according to the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism.
문화체육관광부는 6월 셋째 주까지 올해 우리나라를 방문한 외국인 관광객이 1,000만 명을 돌파해 돌파 시점이 지난해보다 한 달 빨라졌다고 밝혔습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so 10 million, that's been surpassed already, whereas last year that happened in mid-July, so about a month later than how we've done that this year. The cumulative count from January to the May period reached 8.72 million, which was up 21% compared to the same period last year. And not only are there more tourists visiting Korea, but they're spending a lot of money as well. 2.1 trillion won in terms of total card spending by foreigners last month was the estimate. So, they are spending a lot of money while here as well.
네. 2018년 1월부터 이렇게 외국인 관광객 수와 그다음에 얼마나 돈을 쓰고 있는지를 같이 데이터를 놓고 보고 있는데요. 올해 지금까지 우리나라를 방문한 외국인 관광객 수가 기존보다 상당히 많은 것은 물론이고요. 그러다 보니까 또 카드 지출도 외국인들이 많이 해서 관광 수입을 또 관광 수입뿐만 아니라 뭐 여러 가지 수입을 우리나라 입장에서는 보고 있다. 이렇게 해석을 할 수 있겠네요. Alright, let's have a look at ahead of something.
Ahead of something is simply before something or in front of something. So we could say that somebody is ahead of somebody else. They're in front of them or they are before them.
So physically, if you're ahead of someone, you're in front of them. But more figuratively, this is something that happens before, right?
Yeah. Typically, it's a timeline factor rather than a placement thing.
네, 무엇을 앞두고라는 뜻으로 ahead of something 할 수 있습니다. 그래서 올해 딱 이제 절반 시점에 도달하기 전에 이미 이렇게 milestone을 reaching했다라고 했는데요. 1000만 관광객을 돌파한 이 milestone. What is a milestone?
Milestone is a measurement of something. If you have a milestone or you reach a milestone, then it's a significant destination on a journey. So if there's a place that you're going, let's say between, I don't know, Seoul down to Busan, then maybe there'll be a milestone at the 100 kilometer mark or at the 200 kilometer mark. So maybe every 100 kilometers, there'll be considered a milestone just because it's a round number.
Yeah.
Now, there could also be it doesn't have to be a round number because maybe it's 334 kilometers. There might be a milestone because something significant happened at that point. Maybe there was a record broken in a race or there's something along the journey that is worth keeping track of. Then you might have that be a milestone as well.
milestone 자체는 이정표고 이제 직역을 하면은 reaching a milestone, 이정표를 달성하다. 근데 이게 인생을 놓고 보면은 어떤 중요한 순간에 도달했다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. For children, walking is a milestone. Talking their first words, that can be a milestone.
Rolling over.
Yeah. Or then, as you grow up, graduating from school or university, these are all milestones. Maybe your first job. Things like that. They're all milestones, right?
Yeah, the things that you're measuring along the way. There's significant moments on your journey.
굉장히 중요한 한 시점에 도달했다라는 의미입니다. 그래서 여기서는 이제 1000만 외국인 관광객 수라는 요 이정표에 도달했다. 이렇게 보면 되겠죠? 다시 읽어보겠습니다. The number of foreign tourists visiting Korea surpassed the 10 million mark ahead of the first half of the year, reaching the milestone about a month faster than in 2025, according to the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism. Let's move on to the next headline.
The UN's International Maritime Organization has launched a large-scale humanitarian operation to evacuate more than 11,000 sailors who have been stranded in the Persian Gulf following the peace agreement and memorandum of understanding signed between the US and Iran.
미국과 이란 간의 평화협정 및 양해각서가 체결됨에 따라 유엔 산하 국제해사기구가 걸프 해역에 발이 묶였던 선박과 선원 11,000명을 호르무즈 해협을 통해 철수시키는 대규모 작전에 착수했습니다. What do we know?
Well, of course, there is a memorandum of understanding between Iran and the U.S., and because of that, we are expecting peace and more safety for those, especially at sea in the Gulf there. But, they still are 11,000 seafarers who have kind of been going through difficult situations. They've been stranded in that region, so hopefully they will all return to safety very soon.
And what does stranded mean?
If you're stranded somewhere, then you're stuck somewhere. You're in a place that you cannot leave, that you would not like to be stuck in. The most common place that we'll hear this is, if you're stranded on a deserted island. You're on an island, you can't get off even though you want to. What would you want with you? Or what would you want to eat? Or, how would you get off? Those are things that we talk about.
Exactly. And sometimes, because of bad weather, you can be stranded at an airport because all the flights have been cancelled, for example. And the situation with the Strait of Hormuz is similar because the ships weren't able to leave the strait. And so a lot of people were stuck there. They were stranded. 발이 묶이다라는 뜻으로 they were stranded. There's 11,000 sailors that have been stranded. And they're going to be evacuated.
Yeah, if you're evacuated, then you're being taken out of a place that could be harmful to you. If if you're in an island, it could be, or if you're in a building that's on fire or something, then firefighters may come in to help evacuate you. Or if someone pulls a fire alarm in the building, then everyone in that building has to evacuate. You're going to leave that building to a safer place.
Yeah, I feel like this is such an important word for safety reasons.
Yes.
So I think everyone should know this word. Just in case we do need to evacuate, you should be able to tell non-Korean speakers around you that that's what we're doing. So it's 대피하다, evacuate.
Something like that happened to me when I first came to Korea.
Yeah.
I was in an office and the fire alarm went off. And I just thought, this was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning. So, and I had to work early the next day. So I thought nothing of it. And I just went back to sleep. And I didn't realize somebody had called me and said, hey, like, what are you doing? Like, didn't you hear the alarm? I was like, oh, I thought it was just no big deal. I was like, no, there's a fire alarm. Like, everyone had to evacuate the building. But I think they used words in Korean that I didn't understand. It wasn't like 불이 나니까 건물 나가세요, right?
Yeah, they probably said 대피하세요.
Yeah, they said something, and it's probably like 화재.
Right,
so then
right.
I don't.
You didn't know 화재.
Yeah, I didn't know
you didn't know 대피.
So I was kind of like, oh, and then people are like, why are you still in your room?
그럴 수 있겠네요. 자, 그럼 거꾸로 우리가 이제 우리말을 모르는 분들에게는 이 evacuate가 대피다 이렇게 또 알려줄 수 있으면 좋겠네요. 자, 그래요. 그래서 stranded도 있고 evacuate도 같이 살펴봤습니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. The UN's International Maritime Organization has launched a large-scale humanitarian operation to evacuate more than 11,000 sailors who've been stranded in the Persian Gulf following the peace agreement and Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, signed between the US and Iran.
France has recorded its hottest day since measurements began in 1947, with parts of the country surpassing 40 degrees Celsius amid a brutal early summer heat wave that has triggered 40 drowning deaths and forced major Paris landmarks to shorten their operating hours.
프랑스에서 기온이 섭씨 40도를 넘어서는 지역들이 속출하는 가운데 1947년 기상 관측 시작 이후 가장 더운 날이 기록됐습니다. 이 같은 혹독한 초여름 폭염으로 인해 프랑스에서는 더위를 피해 물가를 찾았다가 익사사고로 지금까지 40명의 사망자가 발생했고 프랑스 주요 관광지들은 단축 운영에 들어갔습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so France, they've had temperatures peaking at 44.3 degrees Celsius in Pissos. The national heat index reached an unprecedented average of 29.8 degrees Celsius. So, things have been getting very hot in France. They've been closing some of their landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre earlier than normal. They're suffering from the heat right now.
네, 정말 많이 더운 프랑스입니다. 그러다 보니까 랜드마크인 에펠탑, 아이플 타워, 그리고 루브르 박물관, The Louvre 등이 지금 운영을 단축할 정도로 그런 상황이 됐고요. And unfortunately, there have been some casualties as well. All right, let's have a look at brutal.
Brutal is something that is very extreme and usually in a negative way. So you could have like brutal weather conditions. Right now we're talking about the heat, but it can also be, it's been a real brutal winter, meaning that the temperatures in winter have been very cold or very extreme. Maybe there's been a lot of snow or wind, but it's something that's been very unpleasant.
Exactly. 자, 혹독하다, 잔혹하다, brutal. And operating hours?
Operating hours are the time period that a business is open there, or it could be a time period that people are working. So operating, you're working, essentially.
그래요. 운영 시간을 operating hours라고 합니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. France has recorded its hottest day since measurements began in 1947, with parts of the country surpassing 40 degrees Celsius amid a brutal early summer heat wave that has triggered 40 drowning deaths and forced major Paris landmarks to shorten their operating hours. Here's our next headline.
Soaring airfares and travel turmoil following the demise of a major ultra-low-cost airline last month have driven budget-conscious Americans to switch to intercity buses, fueling a 30% passenger spike for regional coach operators.
치솟는 항공권 가격에 더해 지난달 미국 저가 항공사 스피릿 항공의 파산으로 야기된 항공 여행 혼란이 겹치면서 비용을 절약하려는 미국인들이 장거리 버스로 발길을 돌려 지역 버스 업체들의 승객 수가 30% 급증한 것으로 전해졌습니다. All right, we're talking about coaches. This isn't your sort of local bus from, one stop to another. It's long distance travel.
Yeah, this is from city to city.
Yes.
So probably hours, maybe even days in terms of the time period that you'd be on the bus. So what normally would have been maybe like an hour or two for a plane ride, it could now be maybe like 10 to 15 hours on a bus. But because this airline, Spirit Airlines, very, very, let's say cheap, affordable airline, they've gone under, and therefore many people have switched to these bus routes. They've enjoyed a 30% usage increase over the last year.
그래요. 이렇게 좌석 버스를 이용해서 여행하는 미국인들이 늘었습니다. 아무래도 여러 가지 지금 상황으로 인해서 비행기 타기가 좀 부담스럽거나 아니면은 너무 좀 혼란스럽다 보니까 차라리 그러면은 돈을 절약한다는 차원에서도 그렇고 버스를 타겠다. 시간이 더 걸리더라도 이러는 것 같아요. Right, so these bus companies are actually adding routes. They're upgrading fleets. Some have even been installed with Wi-Fi, which is impressive, I think. It's not surprising for Korea because we already have that, but overseas you don't see many public transportation modes with Wi-Fi, but they're doing that for some of these coaches.
Yeah, and also, we have to remember Korea in terms of land area is much smaller than if you're in North America, where the land is just so vast.
Yeah.
So being on a bus, it is kind of more unexpected to have Wi-Fi for all buses and all routes at all time.
Right, so it's not for all of them, but nonetheless, they are adding routes because more people want to take these buses. There's more demand. All right, let's have a look at the demise of a particular airline company.
Yeah, when we talk about demise, this is, again, a negative word, and it's usually talking about the failure of something, why something does not succeed, or what went wrong with something.
demise는 몰락입니다. 그런데 여기서 스피릿 항공, 저가 항공사의 demise가 있다고 얘기했죠. 그래서 폐업이라고 보면 될 것 같고요. 여기서는. What about budget conscious?
Well, a budget is talking about money, how much you're spending compared to how much you're earning, but typically about like how much money you spend and how you allocate your funds. When we're talking about conscious, it's being mindful. So you're thinking about it. So when we're talking about budget conscious, it's how much you're thinking about how much money you're spending or why you're spending money on different ways or where you might spend more or less of the money you have.
이 재정을 신경 쓴다는 뜻으로 budget는 원래 예산이고 conscious는 무언가를 의식한다는 뜻인데요. 돈을 신경 쓴다, 절약을 하고자 한다라는 그런 의미로 보면 되겠습니다. 알뜰하다 이렇게도 볼 수 있겠죠.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to think here is that this is somebody who is trying to pinch pennies. They're trying to save money. So maybe they're looking at prices before spending. Sometimes, when you buy cheap things, you don't really look at the price. You just buy it. But someone who is budget conscious, they're looking at the price tags of everything they buy. Maybe they're keeping coupons and finding different ways to spend as little as possible.
Sure. Budget conscious. 자, 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Soaring airfares and travel turmoil following the demise of a major ultra-low-cost airline last month have driven budget-conscious Americans to switch to intercity buses, fueling a 30% passenger spike for regional coach operators. Let's move on to the final headline.
An Australian man has been recognized by Guinness World Records as the world's loudest person after registering a record-breaking shout of 122.4 decibels, which is in the immediate range of a jet aircraft taking off or an ambulance siren heard at close range.
한 호주 남성이 내지른 소리가 기존 기록을 깨는 122.4데시벨로 측정돼 기네스 세계 기록에 세계에서 가장 큰 목소리를 가진 사람으로 등재됐습니다. 이 성량은 제트기가 이륙할 때나 가까이에서 들리는 구급차 사이렌과 맞먹는 수준인 것으로 알려졌습니다. All right. What's his name? And what can you tell us?
Joseph McGrail Baitup. He's a 58-year-old resident of Canberra, and he broke the individual shouting record, which is now at 122.4 decibels. So I guess my record or reign is over, unfortunately.
그래요. 호주 수도 캔버라 출신의 조세프 맥그레일 베이톱 58세고요. now라는 단어를 이렇게 외치면서 요 데시벨 기록을 했대요. 그러니까 한 단어 말한 거예요. 뭐 여러 가지 얘기를 한 건 아니고 그냥 now 이거 하나 했는데 엄청난 성량으로 이걸 외친 거죠.
Yeah, and apparently it took him 7 tries in order to get it. And his voice was really, really hoarse after. So for days, he was probably talking like this for the next few days.
Exactly. hoarse. 예, 목소리가 나갔다는 뜻인데 H-O-A-R-S-E. 목이 쉬었다. 당연히 쉬었을 것 같아요. So temporarily he actually lost his voice after, this large shout. But then after that, I'm sure, he's having some trouble maybe getting back to his normal voice, but I'm sure he'll be fine. All right, let's have a look at the expression in the immediate range of something.
So a range is an area that doesn't have to be exact, but kind of like a ballpark figure, as we'll say sometimes, or just kind of from, somewhere between 1 and 10 is kind of like a range to give you an idea. And if we're talking about an immediate range, then we're kind of closing that down a little bit. We're making it closer or smaller. And when we say immediate, as an example, we might say like my immediate family as opposed to, my entire family or extended family. So an immediate family member would be like my mother, father, or my brother, as opposed to like my grandparents and aunts and uncles and things like that. So same sort of way, if we're talking about the immediate range, well, we're talking about something that's more exact and closer to you.
immediate가요. 여기서는 당장이 아니라 가깝다는 뜻이 있어요. 그렇기 때문에 in the immediate range of something 그러면은 바로 인근 범위에 있다. 굉장히 비슷하다라는 뜻인데요. In the immediate range of a jet aircraft taking off. 이륙하는 제트기의 소리 그 데시벨과 매우 근접한 정도의 데시벨이다. 그 다음에 또 그것뿐만 아니라 or an ambulance siren heard at close range라고 했어요. 그래서 가까이에서 들리는 앰뷸런스 사이렌과도 매우 근접한 수준의 데시벨이다. 이런 뜻이 되겠고요. 이 가깝다는 의미의 immediate가 우리 직계 가족 얘기할 때도 immediate family라고 합니다. 가까운 가족이잖아요. 직계 가족은. All right. At close range.
Yeah, so close range, immediate range, we're basically talking about the same thing.
여기서는 둘 다 range랑 같이 붙어서 여기서는 immediate range나 close range가 같은 의미로 쓰였어요. 하지만 그렇다고 해서 우리가 immediate family를 close family랑 똑같다고 볼 수는 없어요. I mean, you are close with your immediate family, but you wouldn't call your immediate family your close family.
Yeah.
그 두 개는 이제 좀 다르긴 하지만 여기서는 정말 물리적인 아니면 이제 수치상의 이 근접함을 얘기하고 있기 때문에 close range, 가까운 범주 내에 immediate range, 역시 마찬가지로 인근 범주 내에 있다. 같은 의미입니다, 여기서는. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어볼까요? 하나만 더 얘기하자면, sorry. At close range 그러면은 이제 물리적으로 거리가 가깝다라는 뜻이 있어요. 여기서는.
Yeah, absolutely.
그렇죠? 네,
Yeah.
네.
So
그게 좀 차이가 있네요.
yeah. So like you might say if you're fighting at close range, then you might do hand-to-hand combat as opposed to like a projectile weapon of sorts. So like
네.
when you're closer in proximity to someone.
그래서 앰뷸런스 사이렌 소리를 가까이에서 듣는 것과 매우 근접한 정도의 데시벨, 122데시벨로 소리를 쳐서 그다음에 기록을 세우게 됐다는 뉴스입니다. 다시 읽어볼게요. An Australian man has been recognized by Guinness World Records as the world's loudest person after registering a record-breaking shout of 122.4 decibels, which is in the immediate range of a jet aircraft taking off or an ambulance siren heard at close range. And that's it for the headlines.